Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to FTRL. We bring you the final round of the GT2 season. 16 races, 8 over 8 weeks, and it all comes down to this, the finale from the Nordschliefe, a 90-minute endurance race to decide the fate and the direction of this season's GT2 driver's title. It's been a long season and has been a very mixed up season, and we end up with a terrific and titanic championship battle ahead of us as SBY, Unsafe Release and FTRL Switchback are all in contention to claim the third ever GT2 title, and to do so they're going to have to tame the circuit affectionately called the Green Hell. That is the Nurburgring Nordschleife. So slightly different format this week. So normally we do 2 races a week, a short 20-minute sprint race followed by a long 50-minute feature race. However, this week it is just the one race, 90 minutes, around one of the most technically challenging tracks in the world. Picturesque views as one boy Don's there, so comes down the back straight. So titanic battle indeed for the overall title. 2 drivers realistically in with a shout, however mathematically Switchback is in contention for this, so the slightly different format means a slightly different point system as well. There are 30 points on offer for the victor this evening, and the current championship leader is SBY in the 4GT, who is currently reversing up, start finish straight, obviously just practicing his getaways. He holds a slender 5-point lead over Unsafe Release, who is on home turf, also one of our resident German drivers. These two just 5 points between them heading to the final race with FTRL Switchback in contention. However, he is 29 points back of SBY, and with a maximum of 31 available he would need them to disconnect to realistically have a chance of winning, but you can never rule anything out, so we shall see what happens. And so slightly, so the circuit reason that is the 24-hour circuit, so it does utilise the Nurburgring circuit itself, the more familiar for F1 fans, touring car fans, and then of course as it comes to the final corner, turns left onto the old Nordschleife circuit, and then we do a full lap of that as well. So it is probably the most daunting challenge on this game, trying to memorise the corners, of which there are over 130, so it's not the easiest track to remember. So we've just got a couple of minutes then with no qualifying this evening, so it will be decided on a reverse championship order, which means that the two big hitters will be starting on the back row together. It means they've got to come through the field. However, 90-minute race, plenty of time for them to pick their way through. Now, as to who's going to win it, it's really difficult to call. Both drivers have driven supremely this season. SBY has had an absolute standout breakthrough season. 6 victories to his name. He is the most winningest driver in GT2 this season. And I don't think many would begrudge him. He has been superb in that Ford GT. It was a car that surprised a lot of people in its choice. However, I think he has more justified his selection. Unsafe Felice. Forever the bridesmaid is a bit of a running joke within FTRL. He has a habit of finishing second, especially last season. He was second in pretty much every one of the feature races. This season, however, he has really stepped up. However, he does come into this race in P2 in the championship. But the Mercedes AMG, which is the same car as Nexus Cats, who's currently on screen, very drivable car, and I think that will be strong around here. So he is in with a very good chance. And then after a switch back in the Beetle, with an outside chance, but as I've said, it would rely on the top two not scoring any points realistically for him to challenge for the championship. But the stranger things have happened. So how did we get to this point? Well, let's have a quick rundown of how the championship has played out. Just bear me a second while I find the calendar. F1 though. So we started the season then all the way back at the start of July with a double header from Dragon Trail Gardens and Dragon Trail Seaside, and SBY drew first blood with victory in the sprint race around Dragon Trail Gardens. And then we were privileged to witness an absolutely titanic battle between Unsafe Release and teammate Michael C in the Corvette, which Michael C just prevailed in. A fantastic duel between those two all the way to the flag. Week 2 was the historic circuit of Goodwood and Monza. Goodwood saw Donzo, who is just doing donuts at the side of the track a second ago. There he is. He prevailed at an up and down race at Goodwood, with people throwing it off the road, not wanting to win the race. He, though, kept it together long enough, and he was the victor from round 3. And then we retreated to yet another fantastic scrap between Unsafe Release and Michael C at Monza. This time, although Michael C won on track, he was later penalised for an accident earlier in the race, which meant that Unsafe Release inherited the victory in round 4. Week 3 was Autopolis Short and the Autopolis GP track. SBY claimed a slightly surprising victory in the short race. They're not a circuit many people thought would suit the GT, but he prevailed, and Donzo then took a rather emphatic victory in the main race. Week 4 was Lago Maggiore with the East and GP circuits. SBY beaten in the first race, having battled hard by Unsafe Release, but he did come good in what was a brilliant finish to the main race. 8 cars battling within 8 seconds with about 8 minutes to go. He prevailed in that battle to win in Maggiore GP. We'll pick up this in a moment then, as the race is about to get underway. Nobby Norris on pole alongside JP Greenwood. We've got 5 lights, it's green, and away we go for the GT2 finale. It's a good start in the background from SBY. Unsafe as well, they've both had good starts. Nobby Norris is going to lead into turn 1. Where are the big hitters? Unsafe's already up to P9. Make that P8, make that P7, P5. Unsafe has had a storming start. Zom comes back through, forces him wide. Bit of bumping and boring. Unsafe is sideways. Oh, there's lots of bumping and boring going on. Zom is off. Oh, it's 3 wide. Unsafe Release. Switch back and Steph. Unsafe is eager to get on with this then, so a bit of contact early on as everybody sorts themselves out. JP Greenwood's off in the gravel in the background there. Zom coming through now as well, and he's all the way to the back. Nobby Norris has got the whole shot from Feber, who is drifting into the hairpin on the first lap, and Nexus Cats up the inside. Nexus Cats gets the drive out of the hairpin and up the hill, up into P2. Feber then down to P1. P3. Donzo's up to P4. A good start from him. Junkie Sport is P5. Michael C P6 ahead of Steph. Switchback, unsafe release, and SBY. So they are away and up to 9th and 10th positions. That's down the inside of Switchback. Goes unsafe release. Switchback's going to hang on though around the outside. He'll have the inside for the second part of the S's. Now we run down the hill. Unsafe's had a very good run out of the corner. Looking to get down the inside. Eager to get through and get on with this. Coming up to the chicane, they'll take a slightly different route through the chicane as to normal. It's the faster 24-hour version. And then they will flick left onto the Nordschliefe for the first time. So here we go then on to the additional 14 miles. Circuit unsafe release has the advantage over his title rival. Up the front though, it is now Nexus Katz who has taken the lead from Nobby Norris. So the current Mercedes 1-2, Donzo up to third ahead of Fieber. Nobby Norris is currently the cork in the bottle. Oh, he's on the grass though, just about gathers it back in. You can see the train behind him. You've got Donzo, Fieber, Junkie Sport, Michael C. Steph has been levered out onto the grass as he made a mistake. Was that unsafe release with a bit of contact? Hopefully just a mistake from Steph, but we don't like to see it. I'd hate for this championship to be decided on penalties. Switchback behind him, still got that one car between them. SBY in P8, Steph has recovered to P9. Zom, who was off on the opening lap, in P10. Oh, Nobby Norris has had a very big off. Didn't even see where he went off. He was P2. He's now P11, just ahead of JP Greenwood. So the front row starters down to 11th and 12th. Nexus Cat, so is your race leader. Around the left hand there, now start plummeting down the hill. 2.7 seconds over Donzo at this stage of the race. So Nexus Cat's looking very good in the early going. Donzo has got Fieber all over the back of him. Coming down the hill. Donzo slightly modified his livery this week, a slightly different shade of blue. He's also got the Nordschleife track map there inside his ashy livery. One of the best looking cars on the grid this season. Livery absolutely beautiful. You can see Fieber behind and unsafe release. They both have a new livery this week as well, based on the GT Open livery. Unsafe release now up to P6 and all over the back of Junkie Sport. Eager to get on with this. You can see now looking for a way past left and or right. Looking racy in the early going. Switchback wide in the background. Switchback is off into the wall. I'll let SBY through. So now again he's tucked in behind his title rival, which is exactly where he needs to be. He has a bit sideways there though. Oh, Switchback has gone again. So he's having trouble at the moment. Steph drifting as well. He has had a moment somewhere. Let's see. Just imagining it. Michael C now has joined this battle for P2. Sport now has got unsafe release alongside. They come out of pole and corner. Mercedes you'd expect to get the overtake done straight. Oh, he's on the grass on the inside there. Unsafe gets through though, and up into P5. So he's making his way forwards. SBY not far behind. He now tucks in behind Junkie Sport. Michael nose to tail. Donzo as well, and they're now closing in on Nexus Cats. Here's your race leader. Keep an eye on the track. Let's go back to the story of the season then. So we've got up to week 5, which was wet week for GT2. Double header from the Red Bull Ring short and then Spa. It was the week that really put the gusto into SBY's title challenge. He played his wild card, or the orange team played their wild card, and he came away with a double victory. So excellent in the first race at Red Bull Ring, and then a little bit fortunate, he had a couple of errors in the race at Spa. An unsafe release had the lead. Unfortunately, his incident disconnected him, so he obviously lost out on a potentially big haul of points there, which would really have reflected differently on the point standings. He would have come into this race with the championship lead had he not disconnected from that one. stands. He unfortunately did, and SBY went on to take a double win. Donzo, meanwhile, on track now, looking for a way past Nexus Cats, and right onto the tail. So they come through the twisty sections now. And Michael just tucked in behind, watching brief. So Police trying to close that gap round. SBY has passed Junkie Sport, so once again back onto the tail of his title rival. It's where he needs to be. Of course, he want to be in front of them. Oh, Feber's a little bit wide there in this train for the lead. And again, Feber also just about keeps it out of the gravel. Michael C looking for a way through. I think that has stayed the same this week, and we'll just now do a quick rundown, is the tyres stipulation. So each of the 3 compounds must still be run. We've got slightly reduced tyre wear and fuel usage this week. But Nexus Cat on super soft tyre for his first in, so he would be expecting to be pulling away. However, Donzo behind him, who's on the mediums, they're getting that stint out of the way, right behind Nexus Cat. Got Fever and Mike, and Fever's on the medium. Michael C's also on the super soft, so he's going to be eager to get past these guys and try and make use of his superior grip. This stage in a minute he is mired in 4th place. However, we're coming up now to the long back straight. Finishes the Nordschliefe section of the track. So it'll be a good time to get the slipstream down the straight. About to see some moves. There we go then, onto the back straight we come. Nexus Cat is your leader, but not for much longer. Donzo tucks into the slipstream straight away. To pull in, he pulls out of the slipstream. Michael C pulls out a Feber slipstream behind him, so we've got 2 slipstream battles now. We head down the back straight. Donzo can't. He has now grabbed the lead. Feber now looking at the inside of Nexus Cats, still side by side down the straight, 2 by 2. Michael C now trying to get involved. Gap shuts as he tries to get through. Elbows past Nexus Cats though. Feber's onto the grass. Contact with Cats as they came through the kink. He gathers it up though. Very good save from Feber. A little bit hairy, but everybody just about gets away with it. Oh, Feber's had a slide though. Oh, he's hit the pit wall of the Nordschleife pit lane. That's cost him a place to SBY and unsafe release, so down to P6 there. As into the pits comes Michael C and Donzo at the end of the first lap. Junkie Sport also in there, getting off those medium tyres, so interesting strategies playing out. Michael C is on his way. He's now onto the medium tyres. All that leaves Nexus Cats back in the lead of the race, unsafe release second and SBY in third, so the title rivals moving towards the front. Switchback has had an absolutely shocking first lap. He's gone all the way to the back and he is 5 seconds off the back of the pack. So Switchback meanwhile is having an absolute shocker, so any hope he had of potentially winning the championship, I think, is probably gone. Right, everything just settling down for a moment. Here going between Steph and Junkie Sport. Steph recovering after that opening lap drama. Junkie Sport has pitted and is now on super soft tyres, and back to championship standings. And week 6 was Blue Moon, and this having swung in SBY's favour in week 5, this is where it swung back to unsafe release and Switchback. SBY suffered some dramas with his wheel in the first race, which meant he didn't score any points, and then had a poor result in the speedway race a little later on. It was FTRL Panda who won the infield A race, and then Switchback triumphed in the speedway lottery race. And he, having been 30 points back going into that week, he left just 9 points in arrears, with unsafe release just a point further back. So having swung seemingly heavily in favour of SBY, a shocking week thereafter brought it all back together again. Week 7 was Sardegna, with Sardegna C holding the sprint race and Sardegna A the feature race, and it was a win for SBY. To battle all 3 Team Green cars throughout the race. So we've got a change for the lead, have we? We do indeed. He gets it done, so unsafe release hits the front on lap 2. doing everything he needs to do to take this championship. Over the man behind him. A couple of cars. SBY not too far in area, just 1.6 seconds separate the pair of them, with Cats in the middle. Just hanging on there resolutely, so good opening run from him. Stalking, unsafe release. Either of them can afford a mistake. So really got the pressure around the top, as it was in week 6 of Sod Legacy. He managed to prevailed in an absolute outstanding battle with unsafe release to take victory in the C, and then had an error in the main race at Sod Legacy, meant he only finished down in I think it was P5 in the end. He came home. Unsafe release won on track, but got a penalty, which meant that Fever picked up his first win in FTRL. He was very made up with. And then last week, week 8, was Catalunya GP and Mount Panorama, and it looked like it was going to be a titanic duel between Unsafe and SBY. However, SBY dropped it on lap 2, finished down the order. Unsafe Release taking the victory to pretty much eradicate the championship lead that SBY had. SBY then was Switchback, who won at Mount Panorama. SBY came home ahead of his rival, and that is why he has a 5-point advantage. Of course, the race was slightly shortened due to some server issues. So hopefully this week we won't have the same issues. And that is the story of the championship. That's where we're up to. And an hour and 17 minutes to go. The race has barely scratched the surface. Unsafe Release now just starting to open that gap up. Nexus Cats though doing a very solid job so far, hanging on quite nicely in P2, not being overawed by it so far. SBY just biding his time behind him, you feel. Nexus Cats on the super soft will probably pit earlier. SBY on the mediums, getting those out of the way. The championship connotations are this: so 30 points for the win, it's 25 for second. So if Unsafe wins and SBY finishes second, then they tie on points. But SBY will win that on countback of number of victories. He will have 6. Oh, Cats in the background's had a big wobble, and SBY comes through. Just clip the grass there through that fast section on set of the Mercedes. SBY comes through. Fever now closing back in P4. Michael C in P5, he's gone onto the medium tyres, so Donzo in P6, and he put in some fuel. Michael C just fuel, possibly not. Oh, Donzo goes round, they're coming out the carousel, so the car gets unsettled and into the wall he goes. So Junkie Sport goes through, Steph now closing as well. Back up to speed. They're going to go side by side. Now Steph backs out of it. Lets his teammate keep the place. I'll be Norris running around in P9. And then we've got a nice battle here going on between Zom, JP Greenwood, and Switchback, who's recovering after that opening lap drama he's had. So 2 Beetles sandwiching the Aston Martin. Back with the race leader, 1.6 seconds between them. Oh, Nexus Cats is wide, and Fever I think takes P3, he does indeed, and then he just about keeps it on the track. Yep, he's up into P3. So will Fever play a role in this battle for the championship? Can he get ahead of SBY? Of course, it may come down to the fastest lap tonight. Because if they finish first and second as they are now, they will tie on points. If Unsafe Release can get the fastest lap, he then takes the championship by a point, and by that fastest lap point. So a lot to play out for. Lots going on. So hope that answers your question, to look. Yeah, so Unsafe needs to win, realistically. SBY, he could do with SBY finishing third or lower. But if he can get the fastest lap, Tom Smith wants to know, in a parallel universe, if Nissan GTR didn't exist, what car on this grid would I have picked from the ones that are racing tonight? Probably the Mercedes, if I'm honest. Just because I know it's a very stable car. I have driven it before. Of course, we did the AMG versus 911 Championship a few seasons ago. So I've spent a fair bit of time in the AMG. It's a very well balanced car. Quick in a straight line. Not too bad on fuel. Yeah, what are you getting with that? Although the Aston Martin is a car I have spent a lot of time in the past as well. In the FIA series, first started on GT Sport, I used to run with Aston Martin every season for about 3 or 4 seasons. So it's a car I know quite well. It has come back into a bit of better form with the BOP updates recently. It's a challenge for the lead. So it's a bit deep into one, and SBY is on him but not able to find a way through, so this is what we wanted. The 2 championship rivals nose to tail battling hard. Michael C is up to P3 now ahead of Feber. He's had another wobble somewhere, Feber. Just to be struggling a little bit on that lap. Michael C on those medium tyres has come through. 12 minutes to go. SBY doesn't need to rush this. Coming through the S's. To lap 3 then. Down the hill. Unsafe, he's trying to break the toe down the straight here. He wants to lead this race. I think his plan is quite clear. Just keep SBY behind him. Turn left and onto the Nordschliefe for the 3rd time. And this is exactly what we wanted, having started at the back. Our 2 championship rivals. And 1 and 2. Half a second between them. We'll see. 12 seconds in arrears, however he is off. He's already got one pit stop under his belt. Feber in P4, so once again SBY is fighting a battle against all 3 Team Green cars. 1 in front of him, 2 behind him. Junkie Sport now P5 ahead of Donzo. You had that moment a little earlier on. Nexus Cats, having stopped, is now in P7. Steph in P8. Albie Norris running along quite nicely in P9. Got us on P10, switch back P11, and JP Greenwood, who has just stopped, he is P12. With the tyres in the air as he goes over the crest of that hill. Oh, he's on the grass. Kicks up a bit of dirt, but it's okay. So easy to make a mistake around here. The track is quite narrow, it makes it quite difficult to overtake for a lot of the lap, if I'm honest. So a lot of it comes from the driver maybe making a mistake. You can see how much SBY gains then down the straight in the slipstream, then the heavy braking zone here for the right-hander. We'll see. He's also catching these 2 from behind. So they're not really battling at this stage. Michael C on fresher rubber is closing. Do they have fuel for a 3rd lap? Well, it would appear so. Unsafely slightly in a better fuel position than SBY at the moment. That could come into play. However, if he's behind, he can do a bit of fuel saving through this part of the lap. We'll see. Engine up behind them. Fever also clinging on there as well. Lennon wants to know, what are my top 3 favourite alcoholic drinks? Well, definitely rum and coke would be my first one. Specifically Kraken, Bacardi Spiced, or J, Vanilla Lime, those 3. Second would be probably like a fruit cider. I like fruit ciders. And third, something a little bit out of the video, hooch, like hooch. Make my teeth feel horrible and furry, but You've got a love a hooch. What about you, Len? T. Smith saying unsafe, needs to back up SBY into his teammates, like Hamilton tried to do to Rosberg in 2016. Wouldn't be a bad shout. And it's quite easy to do around here, not where this part of the track where they're on now. To the fast section of the lap. That corner, that's a corner that I really do not like. I struggle with that corner quite a lot. It seems to be very difficult to get your line right. Narrows on exit as well, but Unsafe and SBY get through it nicely. And onto this winding fast section. Unsafe just opening the taps. On his way. Aaron wants me to rate Pagani, Mikey and Simon best to worst. In general. I mean, Pagani's a lovable Geordie, and everybody loves Geordie, so he has to be number one by default. Then it's the two Southerners. I hate them equally. Me and Simon have had some good battles on track in GT. Me and Mikey have had some good battles on track in F1. But just because he's my teammate and he's beating me in F1, I'm going to put him at the bottom of the pile. So sorry, Mikey, at the bottom of that three at the moment. Yeah, that's for doing an awful job of raising Aaron's child. As we wind our way through, Nordschliefe unsafe release continues to lead. He's now just opening that gap up a little bit. SBY very much in touch, just biding his time. He doesn't need to be pushing at this stage. However, his fuel position is now on the red line. Or rather, his fuel is now flashing red. He's not quite on the red line just yet. Unsafe still in the white, so he is better on fuel at this stage. Michael C also continues to chip away now. He's down just 3.5 seconds off the back of SBY. However, these two will be in this time around. Feber another 4 seconds behind him. He will be in this time as well then. Having not yet stopped. Donzo back up to P5. He's past Junkie Sport. Because Cat's in P7. Steph in a lonely P8. Nobby Norris still in P9, so I'm very impressed with Nobby Norris so far. He's not been overawed, having come in a couple of weeks ago. He was excellent at Sardegna, was it? I believe, when he led the early going at the A track for a lot of the first in. Now he's a big wobble on the curbs there, though. So I think he'll kick on next season, definitely. Excited to see his progress. Behind him, we've got Zom in P10. His last race in his Herbie Beetle. Switch back in P11. JP Greenwood in that bright orange Aston Martin, making his final appearance in FTRL for the time being. I'll be hoping to go out with a good result. Race leaders coming to the end of the lap. They will both peel off into the pits this time around. Come, so race leader in, SBY in, Michael C also pits. Of course he picked, I think he just took tyres in that first in, didn't he? So he pits as well, Feber as well, so top 4 are in. Bonzo now coming around behind them. He pitted at the end of lap 1 to get off the medium tyres. Is he going to take over the lead of the race? The unsafe release and SBY difference in fuel was 7 and 2. Now SBY has come out of the pits in the race lead. Donzo has got P2 as well on the run out of turn 1, so Donzo has got in amongst the title rivals. So SBY has short fueled and jumped his rival Unsafe release on the attack immediately though. He's not hanging around. He's down the inside and back up into P2. He has filled the tank, however, so different strategies now playing out between the top two. SBY has gone for the short fuel, which means that he will be on a shorter run on this set of super softs. Unsafe also on the soft tyre, so different tyre strategies now as well. This is where the game of chess starts to play out. Michael C gets back through on Donzo. Of course, now Donzo and SBY are good friends, so he could really have played his part there. However, Michael has got himself ahead. He can now play rear gunner to unsafe release. Fever is a little further back in P5. Just ahead of Nexus Cats. P7. Junkie Sport has pitted. He's now P8. Nobby Norris is in. Fresh set of tyres on. He's now onto the softs, and away he goes. P9. Zom has pitted as well. Switchback meanwhile coming out of the final corner. He pits. And JP Greenwood comes through. And he will overtake the switchback, possibly Zom as well. I think Zom's just leaving the pit lane, so these two will probably merge at turn 1 and renew their battle from a little earlier on. So now SBY has got track position. He's got a 4-second lead. Now he's going to be pushing on. Of course, he's in his special gold livery. I'll be hoping that he'll be taking home the gold in 1 hour, 2 minute and 20 seconds time. On the super soft tyres, he is now just starting to stretch his legs a little bit here, pulling that gap away. Unsafe, I think, at the moment. Just needs to realise he's on a different strategy, run his own race. It's going to be a little bit disheartening to see SBY pulling away. There's a long way to go. He wasn't happy stint on super soft tyres, so Unsafe has Unsafe on the softs. SBY will still have to run them. About 5 seconds, so SBY is absolutely flying. Pushing on now. You can see there they've both dropped Donzo, who's on slightly older tyres. Fever 5 seconds back. Cats still running strongly in P6. You could be happy with how this race has gone so far. Steph in P7. I imagine that McLaren's a little bit of a handful around here. He's just gone purple through that sector there, so still going quickly. Junkie Sport back with the 300 livery. We are denied the Fall Guys one this week. His last outing in that Peugeot. Almost back out in P9. Got on P10. Just about gets away with that moment there. JP Greenwood hunting him down. There's a strike again. Greenwood closing in. He's had a good run there. Out of the corner, can he find a way past? It's very difficult to overtake. He's looking for a way through. No way past there though. Gets some air under the front tyres as they come over the crest. So I'm looking a little bit jittery at the moment. He's on the soft tyre there, so okay. JP Greenwood on a lap old tyres. Come down straight the crest again from under the cars, get light through the fast left-hander. I'll pick a braking zone. It's slowed down, that's on a little bit wide. Gets away with it. Make their way down the hill. There's so much speed through there. Sparks flying. Oh, he's gone a little wide there into the wall. Gets away with it though, just a brush. A little bit unsighted. Covers it up. And sets about trying to close that gap down again. He's looking quick at this stage. JP Greenwood. The Beetle seem to be struggling down in 10th and 12th places. Switchback is 16 seconds off the back, so he's not enjoying himself at the moment. Winner last time out at Bathurst, quite dominant fashion as well. He had an excellent race there. check on the leaders then. And SPY has lost a chunk of time. Gap now just 2.8 seconds. So he's going off somewhere. Safe release with Michael acting as rear gunner. Let's close that gap now. So SPY has been pushing a little bit too hard. He's had a little bit of an off somewhere. Safe keeping the pressure on, that's what he needs to do at this stage of the race. We'll get that tyre advantage back when SPY runs the softs a little later on. The back Donzo is now coming under pressure as Fieber closes in. So the second of the green Mercedes just reeling in. Sky blue Toyota FT1. Is switchback the largest bottle, or did he forget which colour flag means go? Well, he got off the line right, so I'm just going to go with the largest bottle. I don't think he enjoys his track, to be honest, and I can't imagine the Beetle is a particularly nice car around here. Although I don't really get on with the Beetle, it's the short wheelbase doesn't really get on with me too much. I like a car that can have a bit more length to it, a bit more girth, personally. Lead again, just inching out Michael all over the back of unsafe at the moment. Does he want to get off and get after SPY, or is he happy to just sit behind his teammate? See what they can do. Donzo and Fieber also very close together, coming onto the back straight. Just quickly have a look back at what's going on with JP Greenwood and Zom. They've managed to pull away a little bit at the moment, so JP Greenwood not quite able to close back on him as we come onto the back straight. And here we go then. What will Michael do? He is out of slipstream range actually. Over 0.8 of a second. Slipstream is about 7.5. However, he is closing. That Corvette is motoring in a straight line. And he will now be picking up the slipstream from the Mercedes. However, they're about to go through the kink. So I think any opportunity to pass on this lap is gone. And further back, Fieber has gone past Donzo. So that Mercedes powers past, and Team Green are back into positions 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And Donzo staying around the tail of the Mercedes. So Fieber there with, is that 9,000? Yep, Fieber has 9,636.5 miles on that car. That is just how much effort he's been putting into this season. His dedication, him and unsafe release. Second to none. Change for P2. Michael has gone ahead into turn 1. Now, let's say flashes the lights. Don't think he wants to be behind. However, Michael looks quicker at this stage of the race, so it might be an advantage to him. Sit behind Michael, save a bit of fuel, and see if Michael can pull him onto the tail of SPY. So Michael C. up to P2, so sticking right on the back of that Corvette though. Michael's does a fastest first sector. Loop through the Schumacher S. Michael 0.6 of a second up on the fastest lap so far, so Michael is flying at the moment. SPY currently holds the fastest lap, which could be key. What a 8:18.7. Michael sees a couple of pit stops in there, so it's hard to really judge. He hasn't really got a flying lap in yet. Safe with an 8:19.8, so second between them. It's a very long lap here. Fieber now has got rid of Donzo, who pitted, so Chunky Sport is up to P5 in the Peugeot. Big car, 22 seconds off the back of Fieber, and Donzo closing in behind him. Just about 4 seconds. Next is Katz is down to P7, having just pitted. He's now onto the medium tyres, so having started on the super softs, gone on to the softs, he's now on the mediums. Steph is P8. Not too far behind Katz, he's pitted as well. He's now on the super soft tyres, so he'll be looking to try and close that gap. Robin Norris in P9. Still running very strongly, however, he is in big no man's land at the moment. He's 42 seconds behind Steph, and he's 26 seconds in front of Zom. So Nobby Norris is running around on his own at the moment. Quite a lonely race. And you've got Zom in P10 in the Rusty Herbie. Switchback, who has a half-second penalty to get rid of. And JP Greenwood, who has just pitted, he's now on the super soft tyres. They'll be looking to try and close up on Zom and switch back ahead of him. If those two stopped this time around. Back with the race leader. Gap is 3.9 seconds. Michael has dropped unsafe at this stage of the race. And Michael looking very quick at this moment, however, he's on less fuel. So he's just pushing at the moment to try and reel in SBY. That gap coming down at the moment. So Michael now is the hare. Trying to run away, but he's got Team Green cars en masse behind him. Michael is coming. Of course, we saw it in the GT1 race a few weeks ago from here. Corvette is very handy around here in the right hands. Pagani coming from a spin on the opening lap and then spinning again in the race to claim victory on the final lap. What is one of the most outrageous performances in FTRL I think a lot of us have ever seen. Michael C is backing that up. He is 2.6 seconds up on the current fastest lap, so Michael C is absolutely charging. Unsafe is coming back at him a little bit though, and they are both closing on SBY. The gap now down to 3.4 seconds, so Michael C is dragging Unsafe back towards the race leader. SBY on the super soft tyres. You'd be hoping to pull more of an advantage. Well, he's got the tyre advantage over the two behind him, but they're coming back at him. We have seen that Ford is quite heavy on its tyres. In certain circuits, however, SBY has done a magnificent job to pick up 6 victories this season in this car, including the double in the wet week, despite a couple of moments at Spa. He got a little bit lucky with Unsafe Release disconnecting, because Unsafe Release was absolutely flying at Spa and he was in the lead of the race as well. Unfortunately disconnected. Same issue last week with a number of drivers actually had an issue, so they all got a chance to get back in. How different the title picture might have looked had Unsafe finished that race at Spa. Gap now down to 3 seconds. Michael C is charging. They come to the first of the carousels. There nicely. Michael C there as well. Unsafe as well. Fever now in a very solid P4, a slightly lonely P4 at the moment. However, he is doing everything he needs to do to secure P7 in the title. It's been a bit of a running joke amongst the FTRL boys this season that Fever finishes in P7 pretty much a lot of races in the early part of the season. He is P7 in the championship, and if he stays where he is, with Steph, his nearest rival, 10 points back, he will clinch P7. So a very solid debut season from Fever, because a number of us have raced with him before, friend of Unsafe Releases. A lot of Sunday lobbies. Very good driver, and he has got to demonstrate just how good a driver he is. He's right in the curve there though, and he's pushing. Oh, Michael C's off. Michael C pushing on, he's gone off the track, lights up the rear tyres. He gets going again. So Michael C, his charge is halted. Pushed a little bit too hard there. Ran wide and into the gravel he went. So back down to P3. That's Unsafe Release back through. And SBY's lead is back up to just under 6 seconds at this stage. Now, SBY will be in this time. He is flashing red. Unsafe has probably got another lap of fuel. But the question is now, if he goes for that extra lap, SBY will have the tyre advantage and will be closing in on him again. So it's now a real tactical battle. Does he pit this lap? Close the gap? Because obviously he will spend less time stationary, not needing anywhere near as much fuel. He can go onto the super soft tyres, and if SBY goes onto the softs to get all these compounds done and out of the way, he can pull that back in again. We shall see. SBY down the back straight. Here's your race leader. Forward pulling away in a straight line. It is quick. 6.7 seconds, say Felice in P2, the recovering Michael C in P3. Feber there in P4. In the distance you can see the two green cars. Tunky Sport and a lonely P5. Donzo continues to close. Quite back on terms with him just yet. Next is Katz hanging on to P7, but he has got Steph closing in quite rapidly behind him now. So the McLaren man on a charge. Of course, Steph on the super soft tyres. Next is Katz on his medium stint. Race leader pits. Unsafe goes through, so unsafe is carried on. He takes the fastest lap away, so 8.17.3. That point swings back in his favour. Michael C pits. He's going to need less fuel than SBY. How long does SBY? How much fuel does SBY put in? Again, he's gone for 3/4 of a tank, or just under. SBY going for an interesting strategy. He's back out on the super soft tyres. Lots of curb there. Has a big moment as he gets through turn 1. Feber now up to P3. Michael back out in P4. Company Sport coming over the start finish straight now. With Donzo in pursuit. Katz and Steph have closed up down the back straight. Comes to the far corner. Oh, Katz has gone deep. That's his braking point, and through goes Steph. So Steph up to P7. He bails off of those medium tyres, so he'll go back onto something softer. Norris continues his lonely drive in P9, but a very solid performance. Some in P10, JP Greenwood, and he is caught and passed Switchback. So Switchback again has had some more dramas. He's on the grass again. So Switchback not enjoying himself tonight. I think he will be happy to see the back of this track. So race leader now on safe release again. However, now we have got two different strategies going on. He's going to run 3 lap stints. SBY has just pitted. So now going on alternate strategies. A little bit wide there, carrying a little bit too much speed as he turns onto the Nordschleife. He isn't, quite importantly though, ahead of Feber, who could have potentially backed him up. But he's got about 6 seconds over the second of the green Mercedes. Michael C is back out after his stop. He also has gone to the 3/4 mark. He's now on the soft tyres again, so we saw Michael was catching SBY in that last stint before he had that off. Despite SBY being on the super soft tyres. Sport and Donzo continue to battle as well. Next Katz has pitted. He's now on the super soft tyres. He's also got his window wipers going for some reason. Don't think there's any chance of rain today. Gap from first to second, currently 11.2 seconds, however unsafe on old softs, and SBY on fresh supers. You would expect him to start closing that gap in. However, he is. He has just pitted, so they're going to be on different strategies now. He's going for, you can see already how much the fuel is down, nearly on half a tank already. So SBY doing shorter stints. We've got 44 minutes to go, so we've just gone past half distance. Michael has passed Feber, so Feber's had a moment somewhere. Michael back on a charge, 9 seconds behind SBY though, so he's got a lot of ground to make up. closest battle is probably this one between Donzo and Junkie Sport. Donzo trying to hunt down the Peugeot man. He's got that gap under 3 seconds now, so he is chipping away. Donzo, a two-time winner this season, won at Goodwood when a lot of people were throwing themselves off the road from the lead of the race. And he won quite dominantly at Autopolis. He was absolutely stunning in the feature race there. Controlled that race from the front. And picked up his second win of the season. He won ahead of Junkie Sport, not picked up a win this season. Of course, it was a breakthrough season for him last season in the Citroen, taking wins at Autopolis and at the wet race at Tokyo East. So he would be hoping to have been challenging for honours this season for at least a couple of wins, but not really worked out this season, unfortunately, for Junkie Sport. Of course, as ever, his livery game is strong. Some stunning liveries on that Peugeot this season. At the minute, he is now fighting a rearguard action as Donzo continues to close. Down the hill, Toyota man. That Toyota, one of the best handling cars on the grid. Although on its downside is probably this slightly small fuel tank, which has also let down Frome and Bolt in the GT1. Both of those ran the Toyota this season. I think that was its biggest hindrance. Also the fact that it is an absolute brick off the line in a lot of cases. He continues to close. Steph in a solid P7. Head on Nexus Cats. A big gap back to Zom, who is now ahead of Nobby Norris. Nobby Norris has just pitted, so he's on fresh offs and then trying to hunt down on Zom again. Greenwood behind them. And Zach in the pits. Race leader still unsafe release. That gap is coming down though. It's now under 9 seconds, so as expected through the twisty bits, SBY is bringing that gap down. Behind him is on Michael just chipping away. SBY and Michael holding a similar pace, so that gap not really coming down. Also, SBY sideways there, coming through the corners. He is flying at this moment, pushing to the absolute max. Tries to close down on unsafe release, now down to 8 seconds, so he's taking chunks of time out of unsafe. So I think this race could very well come down to who makes the least mistakes. There's your race leader. And 7.5 seconds later, there is P2. Battle for P5 is now very much on. Donzo on the back of Junkie Sport. Can Donzo force a mistake from the Peugeot man? Or will he wait? Oh, we've got yellow flag. Feber's off. Feber has had a moment. Just ahead of these two. So they are closing that gap down now. It was 15 seconds. It is now just 7, so he's lost half that lead he had over the battle for P5. He has recovered. He's on the way again. I think he will be in this lap. Those tyres looking past their best. Oh, Donzo's gone down the inside. That's an interesting place to make an overtake. Oh, contact. Oh, more contact. So they're both off. So drama there. Donzo trying to make a move at a place that most people wouldn't. They banged door panels a couple of times. And the pair of them end up in the gravel. And on the way again, Donzo has got the position in all that. So Donzo was keen to make that tyre advantage work. It was not the cleanest of overtakes. I do wonder if it would be advantageous to him to give that position back, if you are listening, Donzo, just to avoid any post-race penalties. We were about together, but we shall see. Junkie Sports picked up a half-second penalty for his troubles somewhere along the lines. Race leader is in. So into the pits comes unsafe release. SBY will go through to do another lap. Michael C now coming through the final corner. Sparks off the barrier. He's pushing hard. He will now come through and take over P2. Safe release now, just putting the fuel in. He has gone on to... He's on the soft tyre again then, so another stint on the soft tyre. Unsafe release Fever in behind him from P4. So, as we start lap 7, Fever on his way up the pits, Donzo up to P4, Yuki Sport is in for fresh tyres and fuel. Unfortunately Zach, our switchback, has retired from the race. He's not feeling very well. He has tried to race, but unfortunately he is going to sit this one out. So a valiant effort, a couple of wins this season for him. I think he could have expected a little bit more. He had the pace on a lot of tracks, it didn't quite work out for him. Still managed to put together a fairly decent title bid. If he ends up, will end up P4 because Michael will jump in. Michael's only about 3 or 4 points behind him in the standings, so we'll see. We'll inherit P3. Fever gets a big moment of oversteer on the curb. So race leader is SBY. His lead over Unsafe is now 19 seconds. Him doing 2-lap stints, soon enough he's going to need a... Does he have a pit stop advantage is the question. Unsafe will need to kick on this lap now and try and close that gap down, because if he can get a pit stop ahead, yes, this now is it's becoming a very interesting battle. Again, it's difficult to say at this stage who is where. However, SBY being on the quicker tyres while Unsafe was on the older tyres really closed that gap, and that's given him a massive lead at this stage of the race. Apparently Aaron was a big fan of the contact between Donzo and Junkie Sport. Hashtag F Junkie Sport. So that gap still 19 seconds at the moment. SBY pushing on. His lead over Michael C is now 11 seconds as well, so he is pushing, building that gap over second place. So Michael C at the moment is not a threat to SBY. Michael's slightly better on fuel, but only marginal, so he won't be making any big gains in the pit stops at the moment, so he's going to have to channel his inner Pagani if he wants to get in the mix for the win. Safe is now starting to bring that gap down. It's now 18.7 seconds, so starting to chip away that tyre advantage. Coming back to him. Donzo in a P4. Fever a P5 after his stop. Monkey Sport also stopped. He covered after that drama last time around. He's in P6. Steph in P7. Nexus Cats in P8. Bobby Norris back up to P9 after Zom has pitted. And JP Greenwood rounds off the runners in P11. Switch back side of the pits. Yep, so Unsafe now, yeah, chipping away now in the gap, now under 18 seconds, so tyre advantage is now in Unsafe Release's favour. He needs to make it work. SBY though is kicking on, he's 4 tenths up on the fastest lap, currently held by Unsafe Release, but I would imagine he will be in this lap. If he's using the super soft tyres now to really build this gap. Now if he can get a pit stop ahead, get out to the soft tyres, he can then defend from Unsafe Release. So looking good for SBY at this stage. However, that fastest lap point could be critical. Coming into the race, we'll have to see it, but Michael C is having a bit of a drama. He gathers it up. Rounds the carousel. Kicks out, cocks her front tyre in the air. Unsafe delivery there for this race. One of the VLN liveries from the series that races around this track for 24 hours at a time, a couple of times a year. Hoping it can guide him to victory. But at the moment, he's got to catch this Ford GT. SBY continues to push. He is now 1.1 seconds up on the fastest lap, so SBY is flying. No doubt about that. Question is though, Sunset Felice, that gap is holding. Because we won't really get any indication of unsafe times relative to SBY because he's on an outlap, so we're not going to get sector times this time around. 1.2 seconds up, he is absolutely hammering it at this stage. Trying to build that gap. Gap to Michael's 10 seconds. 17 back to unsafe. Michael kicks up the dirt. SBY will be in this time then. He comes up to the second of the carousels. Just a small one this time. Oh, big oversteer moment there. Still pushing. Comes into the long right hander that leads onto the back straight. This is where the Ford is at its best. Punching down this straight. It is rapid in a straight line. So, building. Back anything going on. Steph is only 5 seconds off the back of Junkie Sport, although he is on the grass, so it's not the quickest surface to be on. Nexus Cats with the window wipers still going. P8. Nobby Norris still in P9. Good effort from him. Zom is P10. JP Greenwood now just 4 seconds behind Zom, so he is closing. And we see him catch the back of the Beetle. So SBY rounds the final couple of corners. Oh, big moment there off the curb. In he comes from the race lead. Michael C will probably be in as well. Yep, he's on the red line. Oh, arrives sideways over the curbs. Michael C is pushing. Oh, scrapes the wall as well. For good measure. Now, where does SBY come out relative to Unsafe Release? Getting the fuel in now. I think Unsafe is going to take the lead here. SBY's on his way. This could be close. Unsafe is through. So Unsafe leads the race again. Half an hour to go. Again, they take so much curb at the first corner. Almost drops it as the car bottoms out. A huge drop there. That corner really falls away. I walked on that as well from the festival they held at the Nurburgring. It's quite a drop. So you wouldn't want to be doing that in real life. So it looks like it's going to come down to a straight shootout between these two. Michael C is probably too far back to be involved. He's now 13 seconds behind SBY. And Fever holding on to P4, but 44 seconds off the lead. A couple of dramas. So 2.9 seconds to separate Unsafe Release. And SBY, half an hour to go. So 2/3 of this race down. 30 minutes to go. Place your bets, boys, and who do we think is going to win this race? As it stands, if they finish as they are, Unsafe will win this championship by 1 point, the fastest lap point. So now SBY though is on the soft tyres. He's again though only gone for a short stint. He's only put in 3/4, 2/3 of a tank. So again he's doing 2 lap stints. Now if is that down to tyre wear, I wonder? But if he continues to do 2 lap stints, he cannot push for the fastest lap until the final lap. So it literally could come down to the final lap of the race, even if they run as they are now. If SPY were to steal that fastest lap point on the final lap from unsafe release, win the title that way, that would be the most ridiculous way to decide this title. So that's a possibility. Of course, there's still 28 minutes 40 seconds to go, so a lot can happen between now and then. At the moment, these two have driven absolutely faultlessly. Unsafe is up on the fastest lap, so this would be a good time for him to lower that bar. On the soft tyres, I expect he'll probably do 3 laps on these tyres. Try to. Question is though, SBY having pitted and only filled up as much as he had, he's only going to be doing 2 laps, so technically their strategies could be about the same there. But we shall see. Michael in a lonely P3, Fever in a lonely P4. Donzo has got Junkie Sport not too far behind him. Steph also not too far behind, so we could see Donzo, Junkie Sport and Steph get together and keep it on track. Steph's trying his best to throw it off the road. He has gathered it up there. Next is Katz, still running P8. Of course, the early race leader had a good run early on. It's just drifted back there as the big hitters have made their way through. Still solid run from him. There'll be Norris in P9. Zom holds on to P10, JP Greenwood still in pursuit. SPY has had a little bit of a moment there, I think. He's just lost a bit of time to unsafe release, so he's pushing. That gap was 3 seconds, it's now 5.5. So yeah, SPY's had a bit of a moment there. Cost himself some time. This is a very tense battle. No idea which way this is going to go. It could go either way still. Inspire unsafe release. He sees that gap going up. And now his rival's pushing. His rival's made a mistake. Keeping it clean, keeping it on the black stuff, doing everything he needs to do. He's got the fastest lap point. That's the maximum he can do. Let's just have a quick look at the points for this race. It's a slightly different point system for being an endurance race. To just clarify the points for this race. Somewhere, promise. So, race winner for the endurance race will score 30 points. Second place will score 25. Third will score 22. Fourth will score 20. So, doesn't look as if these two, barring a massive mistake, are going to finish outside the top 2. So, kind of rules out all the other points potential breaks, because unless something happens. Michael 8 seconds behind SPY. Of course, he's made up a little bit of time with SPY's error. But yeah, so it's going to be 5 points between them, which means they will end level on points as things stand, and unsafe with that point for fastest lap will take the title. It'll be his 4th win of the season. It'll be the most important one. Of course, what might have been at Spa, it could have made this all a formality. But unsafe doing a brilliant job at this stage of the race. Still going at 5 seconds. SPY is pushing. Try and close up again. Does he need to think about trying to take away that fastest lap? Because that could be the deciding thing. Oh, he's out there on the dirt. As he comes through that fast right-hander. He's not hanging around. And the other, Michael C. Again, just dropping back a little bit again now. Can't hold the pace of SPY ahead of him. that moment of that corner a couple of laps ago. Pops off in the gravel when he was closing down on SBY in the last stint, so might have been for Michael C. On course for a podium. Fever on course for P4. Got Donzo P5, 6 seconds ahead of Junkie Sport, who is 8 seconds ahead of Steph. Those gaps holding steady, running similar paces to one another. Then you've got Nexus Cats in P8, Bobby Norris P9, and Zom with JP Greenwood in the background there, trying to hunt down the Beetle. 4 seconds between those two. Also 4 seconds between these two. Oh, big oversteer moment for Unsafe Release. The back end steps out as he gets onto the back straight at the end of lap 8. 10th of a second up on this lap. He will lower the fastest lap if he can keep that gap, keep up his speed through the final couple of corners. He's looking a little bit past the best now, but soft holding up. There's Michael C in the distance as well. So there's your top 3. So he comes over the crest of the hill. There's SBY. Michael disappears into the dip. Now is Unsafe going to go again? He is indeed. So Unsafe here should lower the fastest lap. Does 17, only a couple of tenths though. I think he would have went for a little bit better, but the tyres the way they are, it's difficult to really set a hot lap because the softs are very much eaten up. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, we may get to hear the silky tones of SC Posh Blue in the near future. He has spent £60 on a microphone. Hopefully he doesn't lose his rag and break this one. Just sits quietly in the chat as we shout abuse at him usually, so good to hear his tones. We've also got a Billy O'Connor in the chat. Good evening, Billy. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the action. We're in the midst of a title decider between this man, Unsafe Release, and this man, SBY. Winner takes all in this one, as long as you take the fastest lap. Then I want to know who is my bet on. And where is my bet on? It's difficult to tell. I mean, obviously I've drawn to SBY because we started the season as teammates. I do like Unsafe Release as well though. He's a really nice bloke. Great racer as well. He's really come on leaps and bounds with GT Sport. I know he's an excellent F1 driver. As is SBY this season. It's been a real breakout season for him. He had a couple of good races in that Alfa Romeo last season, but the season he's really kicked on. I would love them both to win it. I feel that maybe SBY slightly deserves it more because he has been the most winningest driver this season, although you can't fault Unsafe's consistency. And if he hadn't have lagged out at Spa, he probably would have won that race, and this would be a much less of an exciting battle. My money for, I'm going to put it on Unsafe. He's got track position at the minute. They're both going to be in this time. SBY needs to do something different. Obviously, if he can get close enough onto this back straight on that last lap, then nothing's going to stop that Ford. He gets the two wheels in the air there over the crest. But the amount of miles Unsafe puts in, I mean, SBY is definitely another one who's put so many miles in this season. He is always on the game practicing. I think that shows this season. But Unsafe and Fever between them have racked up, what we're looking at is mileage count, 8,369 miles on that Mercedes. So I think, having been the bridesmaid a couple of times, I think this is his season to be the bride, figuratively speaking. But we've still got 20 minutes to go, and that can change, so yeah, my money's on the man currently leading the race. SBY needed some added inspiration to prove me wrong. Here's your chance. He's closing now. He's on fresher tyres. Of course, I'm going to lap less, but unsafe. Has yet to use. Oh, he's always wide. Oh, he's got away with it. Just about when that gap closes even more. And now he's got that gold 4 GT all up in his mirrors. Obviously, it's very difficult to pass through this part of the lap, so Unsafe just needs to keep it neat and tidy, keep it on the black stuff. Let's keep a quick drop down the order, have a look what's happening elsewhere. Michael still in a very lonely P3, but looking good for the podium. Feber hanging on to P4. Donzo, who's now got a big gap back to Junkie Sport, who has pitted. Him and Steph, that gap remains the same, about 8 seconds between those two. Katz has just pitted, he is P8. Nobby Norris, who has also just stopped. Zomwa in the pits, and JP Greenwood coming round to finish the lap. We will get back to the battle for the race lead. Not only the race lead, but also for the championship. Tricky right-hander that leads onto this sweeping section there, high-speed section. Not really an overtaking opportunity though, you can hold to the middle of the road. Makes it very difficult to go around. That Ford will be closing. It is a rocket ship in a straight line. Mercedes no slouch. With the slipstream as well. SBY I expect will be right on his tail as they approach the carousel. Can he now force a mistake from Unsafe release? Looking very past their best. We've done an extra lap on them. He's got the super softs to use. So we're getting down to potentially the last couple of laps. Oh, he's gone wide. SBY not close enough to take advantage. He's now all over the back. They both know this is for the championship and for the race. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Just an absolute slogfest between these two. The carousel. Still nose to tail. How much of an Iceman are you feeling on safe release? Because this is where the pressure's going to tell. Got the championship rival all over the back of you. Now, with him still needing to use the super soft tyres, we're looking at 2 laps to go. So Unsafe will be on the super softs for the final 2 laps. So this is going to be it then. They're both going to pit this time. They can both go on whichever tyre. Well, Unsafe has to use the super soft tyres. SBY, you would feel, would use the super soft tyres. However, perhaps he will want to use the softs. So that durability over 2 laps. So this is it there. Oh, he's trying to force an opening. Unsafe shuts the door. They're now going side by side. Unsafe is passed by SBY. So SBY is through into the lead of the race. And he is off and away. Unsafe's tyres just letting him down a little bit there. I think that extra lap on them has hurt him. SBY is flying. And look at that, he's opened a 1.3 second gap up already. That tyre advantage that SBY has got. This is shaping up to be an absolutely incredible final stint. We've got 2 laps to go. They'll both be pitting this time around. SBY is going to need a little bit more fuel. Unsafe just needs to minimise the gap. But down the start, down this straight, that Ford will pull away. We'll see Fever. Still second, third and fourth. So just 6 seconds back from Feber. So he's keeping him honest. Sport has opened that card to Steph. Steph I think's had a moment somewhere. Drop back a little bit. His Katz has got 1 minute and 5 in front and 1 minute 50 behind. So he is a very lonely man in P8. With Nobby Norris 1 minute 50 behind, 21 seconds in front of Zom, who is 20 seconds ahead of JP. Here we go then, final pit stops. SBY's in, Unsafe clouts the barrier, sparks fly. Those tyres look absolutely horrendous, but 3 litres of fuel in it. It's not going to be a lot, so he's going to have to close up on him on the track. Michael C is in for his final stop. Fuel going in. SPY is away. Unsafe is away. So this is it then. 13 minutes, 40 seconds to decide the championship. Unsafe goes in hot straight away into turn 1. He's straight on the attack. He's got himself a couple of tenths there. I think again SPY had a bit of a moment because he closed that gap to 1.7, but now it's up to 2.7, so that moment there has just cost him a couple of seconds. How crucial will that be? He's on the super soft tyres. SPY's also gone onto the super soft tyres. This will be his chance to take away that fastest lap, because there won't be any more pit stops. That second flying lap, he will cross the line. Has this now just swung back in favour of SPY. Now they both need to be perfect, because any mistake now, I think that'll be it. Michael out in P3. Fever has just pitted, he's out in P4. Donzo also just stopped, he is P5. Monkey Sport coming around. P6. Steph again a little bit further back there, he's a little wobble somewhere, but still in a very solid P7. There's Cats in that new black and orange Golf livery. Rolls onto P8, goes around the carousel. Harvey Norris still in a solid P9. Mizom in P10. JP Green closing that gap down a little bit behind him in the fluorescent orange Aston Martin. Now it is a straight fight between SPY and Unsafe Release for the championship. Different strategies. SPY has done a couple of shorter stints. It means he's done one extra pit stop. He is now 3 seconds ahead, and this will be the penultimate lap of the race. So SPY now has track position, which is going to be key, because barring a mistake, very difficult to overtake here. Again, air under the front tyres of that Mercedes. Crest the hill. Now the Ford is quicker on the straight bits, but the Mercedes will be quicker through the twisty parts. Still, it's a little bit more stable. He's just bringing that gap down a little bit. But now again, just inches up again as we get into the straight bits. Hit your marks there, both of them take that corner nicely. Leading the race, the Ford GT. Surprise choice, but has been the car to beat for much of this season. Just grab this grip a little bit there. Gap holding steady on safe, just chipping away a little bit. So into the twisty section now. This is where the Mercedes will start to pull it back. The Ford a little bit twitchier. The Mercedes a little bit more planted. Squeegee tyres. Forward, but nothing doing. He needs 2 laps of his life. SPY's got slightly more fuel. I expect that Ford will probably use more of its fuel over the next 2 laps. So was that overtake? Oh, drifting around the corner. SPY is charging. Oh, he's wide there. Back end gets a little snaky. Again, it's going to cost him some time. Unsafe is just chipping away. That gap is coming down. 2.2. 2.1 seconds into pole and corner. That's Vero. Unsafe just chipping away. You can see the man he needs to catch. When you can see the man you need to catch, I think it focuses you a lot more. Got something to aim for. SPY is just driving to a number. He's going to be looking in his mirrors, and that green dot in his mirrors is getting a little bit bigger. So they wind their way through. Over down this section, the Ford should just start to inch away again. Keeping the taps up. Now 2 seconds. 2 laps to go. Or 1.5 laps to go now. To decide our third ever GT2 champions. Of course, the first ever champion was Dark Bolt in the Lexus. He had an outstanding season. He was very much a man to beat that season. Last season it was City Posh Blue. Won in the McLaren. Having joined partway through season 1, he was absolutely exceptional last season and a worthy champion, denying this man on screen now unsafe release, who will put their name down as third champion on safe release. He finished third in that first season. I think Ross was second overall. Then, so West Price had a good run, although now they just have to pull it back by a couple of tenths again, so the gap just ebbing and flowing. What Unsafe really needs is to get onto the tail of SBY by the time they get to the back straight, because the Ford will pull away if he's not in his slipstream. Ow, cat. Don't claw my leg, you dumbass. Oh, he's a little bit wide there. Just kicked up the dirt, lost himself a couple of tenths, but then SBY's had a poor run through that corner and the gap comes down again. So this gap is just yo-yoing up and down at the moment, exactly 2 seconds between them. What he ideally do with being in the slipstream on the back straight, to just pull himself along, not let the Ford get away. So make it that little bit harder, but SBY keeping that gap. This is the section where he took the lead last time around. Bold move to take the race lead. That gap is going up. It's now 2.6 seconds. He's had a very good run through this part of the lap. Ford excelling through that part, 2.5 seconds. Does Unsafe have anything to offer SBY? Goes on the grass. Oh, he's on the grass, he's into the wall! Mistake from the race leader, can it? Oh, he's gathered it up, but through goes Unsafe. Has that just handed the title to Unsafe Release? A mistake on the long right-hander onto the back straight, and Unsafe Release capitalises and takes the lead. However, he still needs the fastest lap. This is not a done deal. This is not a done deal. It's SBY. He's got 11 seconds to Michael, so he's under no pressure behind. He's now 4.7 behind Unsafe Release. But Unsafe Release, although he's winning the race, needs the fastest lap. So while SBY would like to do it on track, he can take it away with him. Or take it away from him if he takes the fastest lap on the final lap. Here we go then, final lap of the GT2 Championship. Unsafe Release is your race leader. SBY, current championship leader, P2. As it stands, they are tied on points. The bonus point for fastest lap will see Unsafe Release as champion. 8 minutes to decide, and SBY starts by going fastest of all through the first sector. Drama of the highest magnitude. We'll go down the order while we're going through the GP loop. Michael C had a win this season. Had a second win that he got denied at Monza, but a good season for Michael, who will be retiring for the immediate future from GT Sport again. I think he's had a very good season's work. He'll finish P3 overall and P3 in this race. Feber has been a welcome addition to GT2 this season. Had a victory at Sardegna A after a penalty to Unsafe Release. But had a couple of outstanding drives. The first wet race at Red Bull Ring, probably the stand-up drive from him, where he finished P2. Donzo with a couple of victories this season. Goodwood and Autopolis, but not quite put together a whole season. So mired in the mid-table. Chunky Sport, I think, will be disappointed he's not got any victories this season as he goes up into the wall. Crunching moment there from Chunky Sport. He's pushing on. Is he going to pit this time some fresh tyres? He's got Steph not far behind him actually, so probably won't be. Steph now only 5 seconds back and closing. So there's going to be a battle on the last lap between these two for P6. Nexus Cats is doing celebratory donuts early, half around the lap. P8, solid season from Cats again. Gets his Mercedes sorted out. Nobby Norris, a late arrival to the season, looking ahead to next season. Building his confidence up. And we've got Zom holding off JP Greenwood to the tune of 8 seconds. He continues to chip away. But we're... Oh, in the background, SPY is off, and hard. And Michael C is going to catch him. And Michael C goes through. Well, if the first one was a little mistake, that was a big one. And now, that title is very definitely going to Unsafe Release. SBY having a huge moment into the barriers he went. And now he is P3. And he'll do well to set the fastest lap. So has that. All that hard work. That one moment there on the penultimate lap where he drifted wide and handed the lead. The pressure was back on him. Needing to go for that fastest lap, he has dropped it in spectacular fashion. And SBY is now... He's got it all to do. He's 17 seconds behind Unsafe Release. He's not going to catch Unsafe, barring a mistake. And now Unsafe can take it easy. He has a big lead. And now he's got his teammate behind him as well. Michael up on the curbs. Oh, he's now on the grass. Oh, is Michael going to drop it as well? He's sideways. He just about saves it. SBY having a huge moment. Now finds himself on in P3. Can he catch Michael? So for Release now staring at championship. He's got half a lap, about 4 minutes of racing to do to get there. SBY is charging onto the back of Michael C. Do everything he can. What drama on the final lap of the final race of the title decider. That little error. The circuit is so unforgiving. You can drive so superbly for 7 minutes of this lap, and then that little mistake on what's a relatively easy corner. But it narrows, it tightens. It's so easy to just drift a little bit wide, as SBY did, onto the grass, and then it just... You can't get off the grass until you're in the wall. Unsafe took advantage. He did everything he could to keep the pressure on after the pit stops when SBY jumped him. Can SBY get ahead of Michael? He's closing back up in 1.2 seconds now. Unsafe Release is away. Now all he has to do is bring it home where he is. It stands, he is on to claim the title. SBY needs to get ahead of Michael and then somehow pull the fastest lap out of the hat on this final lap. However, having had that massive spin, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near that. Oh, he's on the grass, he's pushing so hard. Big moment again, just about gathers it up though. Oh, and again. Oh, he's just about saved it. Well, he's definitely pushing. But I think now it's got away. Michael's got 3 seconds on him. You are throwing the kitchen sink, the bolts, everything at this. Try and reel Michael C. Looking a little bit ragged. One man who's not looking ragged is this man. Out of the carousel for the final time. Michael C holding on to P3. SBY is still pushing. You can see how hard that Ford is working. Out to the curbs. On the order, Phoebe still P4, Donzo in the background P5. Junkie Sport and Steph are together on this final lap. We'll come back and catch them in a bit. Next is Cats P8, Nobby Norris P9's on P10. JP Greenwood has finished. Down the back straight for the final time. In the distance you can see Michael C. SBY has just slipped away from him on this final lap. Into the final quarters for the final time, and your GT2 champion for season 3 of GT2 is Unsafe Release. Congratulations to him. He is the winner of the race. He wins the championship in the most dramatic fashion. He sets the fastest lap on the last lap as well at 8:14. And Michael C sideways out of the penultimate corner. But he will come home P2, and that will confirm the championship for Unsafe Release. He takes P2. And SBY was 1 1/4 laps from the championship. And that huge moment sends it the other way. Phoebe coming home in P4. A very solid race from him. We'll be happy with P4. That secures him P7 in the championship as well. And you can see how happy he is with that. Lights flashing, weaves across the line. Behind him, Donzo comes home in a solid P5 to round off the season. Steph has got ahead of Junkie Sport then, so the battle for P6 is going ahead. Junkie Sport is off in the background. So trying to get back at Steph as they come out of the carousel. To this right-hander. Leads onto the back straight. And Steph has now got... Oh, Junkie Sport's off again. So Steph has caught and passed him. And Junkie Sport in his desperation to get back ahead. He's thrown it off the road. And Steph will inherit P6 on the final lap. See the lead he's opened up there from those 2 little mistakes from Junkie Sport. He went off the same place that SBY did. Yeah, that fast right-hander onto the back straight. Flashes the lights. It's into the final sector for the final time. Solid season from Steph. Great couple of performances from him. I think his standout race was Barcelona last time out when he got P2. He seems happy with that. He'll come home P6 to round off the season. Junkie Sport cruises through the final couple of corners. Good battle that ends in defeat to Steph in the battle for P6, but still another solid season from Junkie Sport. He's going to do some donuts. He's got a big gap back to Nexus Cats, so plenty of time to do some donuts. Celebrating another season's worth of hard work. He comes home P7. And we've got... Yeah, these 3 are all spread out. So Nexus Cats is the next one out. Currently hanging on to P8. Oh, he's a little bit wide there though. Out on the grass. Still pushing on the final lap. Oh, he's wide again. Just about gathers it up. Plenty of time back to Nobby Norris though. Oh, he's on the grass now as well. This guy's having a scruffy couple of corners. Now he's on camera. But the token Danish driver of FTRL. Of course, we've got one of our return ones back actually as well now, haven't we? Mr. Matt Coles is back in FTRL. In the F1 side of things. The next cat, looking forward to next season, which will of course be the Porsche Super Cup for GT2. So all 14 drivers will be in the same car, which is the Porsche 911 Group 3. So do join us in a couple of weeks when that kicks off. More details will be on our Twitter page at FTRL_GT Sport in the coming weeks. Drifting through the carousel there. Of course, there are still possibly some seats available in the season, so please do get in touch if you are interested in joining FTRL GT Sport. Got leagues running on Thursday and Friday, so please drop us a DM and we'll try and sort something out for you. Of course, very excited about what we've got in store for next season for GT1 and GT2. As I mentioned already, we've got the Porsche Super Cup for GT2. GT1 will be running a British Touring Car Championship, which will be very exciting. So we'll get some more details of that out in the coming week or so. So if you're a fan of the British Touring Cars, please do get in touch, because you could be a part of what promises to be a very interesting season. So next is Kat's then. Wiper's still going. He comes out of the final corner and he will solidify P8. Some good early pace from Nexus Cats. Celebrates with a huge power slide. Coming up the back straight for the final time, Nobby Norris. P9. Very solid effort from him there, holding back the more experienced Zom and JP Greenwood. And Switchback as well in the early goings, so no mean feat. There's some quick drivers behind him. And he'll be looking forward to cracking on for next season. Out of the final corner he comes. Flashes the lights. I think he's happy with his evening's work. And he comes home in P9. And the final finisher, what are you doing? His celebratory weaves. FTRL Zomwa. The Herbie Beetle. Of course, he was looking on for a very strong result at Goodwood earlier in the season, only for his wheel to break in the minutes before the race. I think he was probably one of the favourites for that race. It was so gutted for him. Never quite recovered that form again. But a solid season of building from Zom. And he is a bit of a Porsche fan, so fingers crossed he will have a strong season next time and can finally chalk up that victory. Of course, he got a podium in his first week in FTRL GT Sport at Tsukuba in the Hyundai. And are we going to get a celebratory burnout? Here indeed, lights the rear tyres up. And with that, GT2 is done for this season. So congratulations to Unsafe Release and commiserations to SBY. Both of you would have been worthy champions. However, only one man could do it, and it was this man right here. Capitalised on the mistake, and he has taken the GT2 crown. There you have it then. Unsafe Release is your race winner. He also wins the championship. It's been an absolutely outstanding final race. Definitely did not disappoint. What a race that was, and the perfect finale. Unfortunately, somebody had to lose out. What an outstanding finale that was. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy that, please do like the stream. I think that one was definitely worthy of a like. It helps us out as well. And that wraps up GT Sport for a couple of weeks now on FTRL. So we are taking a break and get ready for Season 10. But of course we are back next week with performance on Monday for the F1, and then the regular F1 leagues on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. We've also got FTRL Assetto Corsa on a Monday. Of course, we're not able to stream that at the moment because of the glitch with the viewing, but hopefully we'll get that sorted in the coming weeks. So there we have it then. A great season with a great finale, and a very happy man in the chat there. Unsafe Release is the champion. And I think he definitely earned it over the season. His consistency was probably the winning point for him there. Despite only taking 4 wins in the end to SBY's 6, and having missed that race where he scored no points as well when he lagged out from Spa, although SBY also had the lag out from the first race at Blue Moon, although it was slightly less points. So they both had 1 no score this season. But outstanding work, outstanding season. Once again, GT2 shows why it is the must-watch GT Sport category. So thank you very much for joining us. That is the end of the coverage tonight. It's been a long old slog, but I think it was worth the watch. And yeah, a fitting end to a stunning championship. Thank you very much for joining us. That is the end of it for tonight. And we will be back next week with F1 and back in the near future with GT Season 10. But for me, I'm going to get a drink because my throat is sore, talking for an hour and a half. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon.